Well, hello. Properties of parallelograms. So using relationships among sides, angles, diagonals above parallelograms. So key things you have to know is a parallelogram. Parallelogram is always going to be a quadrilateral, so it has four sides. And opposite sides are going to be parallel. That's how you know it's a parallelogram. Other things that we're going to be talking about are opposite sides and angles and consecutive angles, and I will explain that as we go. Here are four different properties of parallelograms that I know. So if I know a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, these are four things that I know. But first, you have to know it's a parallelogram. So for the first one, if I know that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, this is kind of what they look like, then I know the opposite sides are congruent. So opposite means straight across from each other. So this is what a picture of 6-3 would look like. If I know a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then I know its consecutive angles are going to be supplementary. Consecutive means angles that are right next to each other. So if I were to write up what this is talking about, let's say angle A plus angle B, because those are right next to each other. Angle B plus angle C, those are right next to each other. Angle C plus angle D, and angle D plus angle A. All those are supplementary, and what supplementary means is they add up to 180 degrees. So that would be a picture for my 6-4. If I know a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then I know its opposite angles are congruent. So opposite means straight across from each other, so those two angles would be congruent, and these two angles are congruent. So this would be my 6-5. And finally, if I know a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then its diagonals bisect each other. What does this mean? So a diagonal means looking at my opposite angles, drawing a line. That is diagonal 1. This would be diagonal 2. In this picture where they meet, this spot right here, saying that it bisects. Bisect means that they create or cut in half two equal parts. So in this picture, my two smaller blue sides are going to be congruent, and my two smaller red sides are congruent. However, notice how I did not put the same symbol at each side, because I'm only talking about each individual angle. So this would be a picture for 6-6. Here I have a proof. I'm trying to get that angle M is congruent to angle D, knowing that both of these two pictures are parallelograms. So for my second statement, I'm going to say that angle B is congruent to angle M, and with that, angle B is congruent to angle D. And the reason I can say that would be 6-5, or you could just write opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent. Now that I have that statement, I can write that angle M is congruent to angle D. The reason I can say that is my transitive property. So this is thinking way back when. If I know angle B is congruent to angle M and angle B is congruent to angle D, then I know that my other two angles will be congruent. And that is it. So I have to figure out what HJ are and IK, but first I have to figure out what lengths A and B are. So in this picture, I already know this is a parallelogram. Well, when I look at this picture, I can see that this is labeled at my diagonals. So here's one diagonal, here's my other diagonal. So at this picture, the little parts on my blue are congruent and the little parts on my red are congruent. So I can write up two different equations. I can have A plus 2 is equal to B, and I also could write A is equal to 2B minus 8. So for both of my equations, I have both variables. So what I am going to do is I'm going to use this information in my second variable and plug that into my A and my first equation. So now instead of writing A here, I'm going to write 2B minus 8. And then I'm still going to finish out the rest of my problem. So now I'm going to solve this for b. So I don't really need these parentheses there. So I have 2b minus 8 plus 2 is equal to b. So I'm going to subtract 2b from both sides, and I'm also going to combine my like terms here. So this is going to become negative 6 is equal to negative b. And then I'm going to divide by negative 1. So b is equal to 6. Or I could have 6 is equal to b. Same thing. I'm going to use this information to help me figure out what a is. So a is going to be equal to 2 times 6 minus 8. So a is going to be equal to 12 minus 8, which is equal to 4. So these two things are going to help me figure out what hj is and ik. If I look back at my picture, hj is my whole length. So I actually have to do hj is going to be equal to a plus 2b minus 8. So I know that a is equal to 4, b is equal to 6, and I have my minus 8. So hj will be equal to 4 plus 12 minus 8, which is going to be equal to 8. So now I do the same process for my ik. Ik is equal to a plus 2 plus b. So in this case, ik is going to be equal to a is 4 plus 2 plus 6, which will be equal to 12. So those would be my 4 different answers here. You have to know what b, a, ik, and hj are. So here I have another theorem. So if 3 or more parallel lines, so if at first cut or draw 3 or more parallel lines, here they are. We'll say that all of these 3 lines are parallel. Lines cut off congruent segments on one transversal. So let's say if I have one transversal here. If I know that this in between, if I label this AB, C, if I know the length in between AB is congruent to BC, then, this is your then part. Then I know any other transversal cut by those parallel lines, and let's say if I label those D, E, and F, those will also be congruent. So DE will be congruent to EF. So you have to first know this information, then you know any other transversal cut will also have congruent segments by those parallel lines. So using that information for this problem, in this figure I'm first going to label everything that's stated. It says RW is parallel to SV, and SV is parallel to TU. So all those 3 are parallel. It says RS is 5, and it says WV is 7. So what would WU be? Well, it says RS and ST is 5. So now since I know both of these are congruent, both of these are 5, then I know these 2 smaller lengths are also going to be congruent. So I'm looking for WU. So from W to U, I'm looking for this whole length. So since these are congruent, this second segment is also going to be 7. So WU is going to be added up to be 14. Oh, look at there. Make sure you fill out the Google Doc form and submit. And you wrote down all possible information that you might need. Have a wonderful day and a great evening.